Okay, this is Orlando Wilson. What I want to talk about in this video is something which is very relevant to the security business, the close protection business, etc. And that's first aid. To be honest with you, first aid is not one of my favorite topics. It's nothing that excites me. I've done quite a few first aid courses over the years and that's about it. I've given first aid, I understand how to give first aid, but it's not a topic which excites me. It's an essential topic. It's something everybody needs to know, I think, in life in general, especially if you're in the security business and close protection business. I think in a lot of places now, to get certain licenses, close protection, security licenses, you need to do a first aid course, which I understand. Okay, from a close protection perspective, when you're doing your threat assessments, you need to identify any first aid issues or any medical issues that you, your client, your team members have, and work out how, if they have a medical emergency, how you can fix that issue. That's part of your threat assessment. If you're traveling to locations, you need to work out, is there proper medical facilities in those locations? If not, can you take equipment with you, medications with you, etc., etc. I'm not going to talk about blood because that's too much of a complicated topic, and without the proper licenses you're not going to be taking any blood with you anywhere. If you're going to a country where there is not clean blood, well, there's not much you can really do about it these days. To ship even synthetic blood, very expensive, too much paperwork, it's not going to happen. Even as far as medications are concerned, it's making sure if your people need medications, if your client needs medications, they can get them at the locations they're going to, or if they're taking them with them, they've got the right prescriptions, etc. Because you don't want to get busted for importing illegal drugs. In some countries, certain drugs need prescriptions. In other countries, they don't. If you buy in one country, they don't. You take in a country that do, then you're going to have big problems. Now, with first aid, I tell people, and I've got a video out there about minding your own business. I tell people, you look after yourself, you look after your client. Don't go getting involved in other people's problems for a variety of reasons. But there's a lot of people in the close protection business, security business, that want to help people. Well, in the security business, it's up to you guys. In the close protection business, we're not there to help people. You're there to work for your client. You're there to look after yourself. You're there to look after your client. You're not there to help people. If you want to help people, go, I don't know, go join an NGO or go do something and be helpful. But stay out of the close protection business. Why? Because you become a liability. Let me tell you some stories. So I've got too many stories. One that comes to mind about helping people. When I was in South Florida, one of the guys that used to work for me used to freelance for other companies as well. Well, you can't freelance in South Florida. He used to work for other companies. His license is one of a few companies' books. He was doing something with me one day. He came in and showed me this video. He gave some old woman CPR at some event and he thought it was brilliant. He asked me what I thought and I told him he was stupid. He gave CPR to this old woman that happened to collapse at this event. He didn't use a vent. He didn't use a mask, a CPR mask. And he was just there giving her CPR. You know what? Even though she's an old woman, and I said this to him, you know what? In her heyday, that would have been the time when HIV and AIDS was going full throttle. In places like South Florida, where STDs and diseases are, I think it's one of the highest areas in the US for STDs and even people contracting AIDS these days. I wouldn't be giving anybody CPR, well I wouldn't anyway, but I wouldn't be giving somebody I didn't know CPR without a vent. The first rule of any type of first aid is you don't put yourself at risk. You need to look after yourself. The first rule of close protection, first rule of personal security, don't risk yourself for other people. We minimize risks, but you're not going to be going and doing stupid things like giving somebody you don't know CPR without a vent. That to me is stupid. And while he was giving this chick, old woman, CPR, everybody else was filming and whatever. He's a hero, right? You know what? He was down on his hands and knees giving this chick CPR. In the meantime, he was carrying a firearm, strong side. His firearm was visible underneath his jacket. Somebody could have come up, taken his weapon off him, popped him in the back of the head, or just taken his weapon off him and ran away with it. Nothing he could have done about it because he was more focused on some woman he didn't know. There was something wrong with her. Who knows? She could have been put on an act because she wanted the attention. That type of thing happens. So to me, when I said to him, you didn't know the chick was, you could have lost your firearm, you wasn't able to look after yourself, you were not in a secure environment. Stupid. But I'm sure some people think I'm cynical. I am very cynical because I understand the realities. And unless somebody's my client, unless somebody owes me money, I don't particularly care about them. That's it. To me, it's business. It's not a game. It's not about helping people. And I've heard from quite a few people, and in quite a few places, apparently, if you have a security license, close protection license, and somebody is taken ill, you have to help them. You have to do what you can. I understand doing what you can. And in most places, doing what you can is calling 911, calling 999, calling an ambulance. Let the professionals deal with it. We're not professional first aiders. You might have a certificate, but you're not a professional first aider. And to be honest with you, you don't want to be. That's my opinion. I give a story of all these people that want to be heroes and help people, and how you must give first aid, right? One of the places I used to work in London, it was a bar, a prominent place, but it was a bar of what was the cheapest hotel in central London, just off Piccadilly Circus. Below that place, there was a very, very top-end restaurant, etc. But this place was a dump. But it was always busy because it was cheap. And I've got too many stories to do with that place. Everything from football hooligans to paedophiles. Too many paedophiles. But that's central London. Anyway, luckily I wasn't there one night, and I went in the next evening, and I was there a couple of days later speaking to the guys what happened. And they told me one funny story. It was not funny, it's a story. End of the night, they had to clear out the non-residents from the hotel, from the bar, non-hotel residents from the bar, because the residents of the hotel could stay an extra hour or something. UK licensing laws in the day. Clearing out the female toilets. There's one girl in there, drunk, and she said her friend was in the toilet cubicle. Some Scandinavian chicks. The guy's like, okay, they have to leave, whatever. Everybody's nice, everybody's polite. Knocking on the door, madam, you have to leave, whatever. She's unresponsive. This other girl's drunk and giggly. So, somebody got a coin, opened up the toilet door, and there's a girl passed out. She'd, how can I put it politely, had diarrhea and defecated herself all over herself. She had also vomited all over herself, all over the cubicle. It's a mess, guys, it's a complete mess. Vomit and diarrhea. Did the guys go in and give her first aid and make sure she was okay? Of course not. They'd done what they were supposed to do. They could see she was still breathing and still breathing. And they called an ambulance. They let the professionals come and deal with it. They let the ambulance crew come and deal with the vomit and diarrhea. Did they make the right decision? 100%. Would I go in and get covered in vomit and diarrhea from some person I didn't know because they've been stupid enough to get wasted? I use that as an example when people say you must give first aid. And I say to people, okay, would you have given first aid in that environment? Would you have gone in and done it? If you did, then if you're working for me, I'd be like, okay, you're stupid. You're not going to get any brownie points. It's like, call an ambulance, let the professionals deal with it. That's their job, that's what they're paid for. Well, in UK, they're underpaid to deal with that thing all the time. There's such situations all the time. So yes, they need more money for dealing with that. Those types of mess on a daily basis. Let's go up a scale to 5-star. Years ago, again, London, Event on Park Lane. I won't say the venue's name, but it's a big ballroom right underneath Park Lane. It used to be an ice rink, and I'm sure some of you watching this video has been there, if you're still watching. We were there one night, me and another guy. Again, a lot of these large events is minimal security, 2 of us and maybe 1,000 people. And some guy had a heart attack. By the time we got the call, went over, okay, the guy's on the floor, there's how many people around him. If somebody's having a heart attack, there's not much you can really do apart from calm them down, make sure they're sat up, etc., etc. And people were doing it. So we told the hotel. They sent down one of their medics with a bag full of tricks. And we called an ambulance, that's it. Made sure everything was calm, made sure the other guests carried on doing what they're doing because the show needs to go on, etc., etc. There wasn't that much of a disturbance. Everything went well. Ambulance people turned up. All good. Now, the funny thing is, when we heard there was me and I think I remember who I was working with. When we heard there's medical issue, for us it's like, oh, no, seriously, now we have to deal with BS. We went, sorted it out, no problems. And the wife of the guy that had the heart attack afterwards come up and she complimented, said to I think the hotel manager was there, whatever, said, your guy's really good, really calm, didn't get excited, whatever. Okay, we wasn't calm, we had other things to deal with because it's a busy night. We didn't get excited and start running around like headless chickens and panicking because, okay, why? It's a guy having a heart attack. There's nothing we could have done about it apart from call an ambulance, which we did, and make sure the show went on. Did we care about the guy? It wasn't our business. We're not, I wish him all the best, but our job was to make sure the event went well and make sure the security for the event went well. This was just something that happened, and it was dealt with calmly, and all we could do was call an ambulance. It wasn't making, how can I put it? It was serious for that guy, but it wasn't blowing things out of proportion. Thinking about it, if the guy died, then there's a lot worse places to die than a 5-star hotel in some Gucci banquet, right? I can think of a lot worse places. So, from a close protection perspective, again, it's back down to threat assessments, planning, preparation, etc. And it's focusing on your job. It's not being distracted by other people's problems. If you're with a client and somebody who's got nothing to do with you drops down, has a heart attack in front of you, it's not your business. You're with the client. That could be a distraction for the client to be snatched, for you to be ambushed. Or you're giving CPR to somebody you don't know, somebody come up, take your weapon if you're carrying a weapon, if not, just kick you in the head as you're on the floor. You don't know if it's not a distraction. So the thing is with first aid, keep it real. I know a lot of people get excited over first aid. To me, it's just something you need to know. It's not something that interests me. As I said, I've dealt with issues over the years, but it's at the point where would I give CPR to someone? I doubt it very, very much. Because if you look at the statistics of how much CPR saves people, it's minimal. Am I interested in getting covered in other people's blood and body fluids? Not really. I've been covered in enough of my own blood and other people's blood over the years, so it doesn't really excite me. Am I interested in helping people? I'll help people if you're my client, if you owe me money, and if you're paying me. But apart from that, I'm not interested. It's business, and this is the way you need to look at things. It's business. You're providing a paid service. And again, you're not there to help people. So I hope this little video puts a few things into context about first aid, etc. I have 3 books up online specifically to do with close protection. We're throwing out a lot of videos now on various aspects to do with close protection, kidnap and ransom, security, etc. I have other books online about various aspects of the security business as well. They're all on Amazon. If you're connected with me on social media, Please follow us on social media and check the videos. If you're connected with me on social media, if you've got any direct questions, relevant questions, reach out and ask, and I'm happy to answer relevant questions. If the questions are stupid, don't expect an answer. So keep it real. And again, when it comes down to providing first aid, always remember you need to put your security and safety before anybody else's. And don't get involved in other people's problems if you don't have to be involved in other people's problems. If you're working with a client, your security, your personal security, and the client's security comes first. That's all that matters. Everybody else is irrelevant. So, I hope this video has clarified a few things. Stay safe, stay out of trouble, and remember to be good little boys and girls.